Duds, Jay. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for having us.
Jay Luke
Yes.
and the infamous Duds. Duds, how many times are you going to be on the show?
As many as you'll let me.
Yeah, because you were on with Mainly Medicine back in late, or was like September of 2021, episode 55. If
Yep.
anyone wants to check that out, well, back in time action. But here to talk about Jay Luke and his upcoming album, the fourth solo record, right?
Yep. Yep.
And you've been doing this for quite some time.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. When I first started, I started playing in like 2003, and I had this idea to the band I was in was called The Mess, and I just wanted to get like the perfect, lineup or whatever to make this album that we had. And it just never happened. It was like we had this Ferrari with a busted wheel all at a time or whatever. So the album never got recorded, and I'm just waiting and waiting. And finally I was like, I'm waiting forever. I felt like it was never going to come out. So I said, I'm just going to go into the studio by myself and, put together what I had in my head. And it turned into like a solo project. And then that was like the first album was basically me with my songs, kind of having friends do guest spots. But from the second album on, Duds has been with me the whole time, and it's turned more into like a me and him band scenario where we're collaborating more, and it just sounds way better, I think.
Called Jay Duds.
Yeah.
Or Duds Luke. Well, how long ago was the mess? How far back are we looking here?
2003 till
Jesus.
till probably
So
about
that's 20 years ago.
yeah. My God, it is.
That's hard to believe.
All right, it is. So the first solo album I did came out in 2018. It was done by like 2017. So it was a lot of waiting around, doing shows all of the time, but waiting around to get something actually physically recorded. It was very frustrating.
So you're saying there was what, 17, so 14 years that you kind of were messing
Floating
around with the
around.
mess?
Yeah, yeah.
Huh.
Well, a lot of like waiting for just things to happen that just never happened. And it was just constant heartbreak, kind of, all of these great shows and great opportunities that we had. And, just got tired of waiting.
What
The
took
first
so
album,
long?
the first album was called It's About Time because it really was an apt title.
That's funny. What took so long? I mean, like, why? That's a considerably amount of time, a considerable amount of time. Um,
Always a member down. We'd always lose a member at the worst time.
well, why did it take so long to say, you know what, F this, I'm just gonna do this on my own?
That's a good question. I just really believed in it so much. It was like my baby, it's like my favorite band, and putting that one down was like losing your favorite pet. It's like,
Right.
oh geez. But instantly though, the freedom I felt of not having to depend on other people, oh my God, is the most important thing about it. It's like when you're in a band, it's like being married to three or four other people that are all trying to grab the steering wheel at the same time and drive it in other directions. And having the freedom to do my songs the way I wanted to do them was really cool. And kind of took me where I'm at now.
Do you think maybe that was like, I feel like '03 was probably around the time when a lot of bands were competitive and it was very cutthroat. Every band felt like that they should be, the person that got the show or opening for this band or doing whatever it might be. Do you think that played into any of that? Because you're telling me like, you're in this relationship with three other people. Obviously, it's hard. I mean, I'm married. I've been married for 8 years, celebrated 8 years yesterday. We've been together for 15. And obviously, like, it's not always like peaches
Right.
and cream, right? But like,
So
I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm just naive, maybe I'm just not aware. This day and age, members, maybe they're just the right people found the right people, or there's just more harmonious. I don't know, but I feel like there's a lot less friction today.
you know what
I don't know.
I it's just I think that there's the idea of it all now, it's kind of crazy to me with it's competition that shouldn't be. It should just kind of be with yourself, you know? So and I think that has a lot to do with like the American Idol mindset and all of that, you know. Or you know, always some sort of contest mentality where it's we're all kind of in the same thing together, you know. It's just
Mhm.
everybody's doing their own thing. And yeah, I think it's less fighting or whatever, however you want to say it, like less cutthroat, you know.
Yeah,
People are all kind of working together more than they're not, I think.
they are, and that's what I think is kind of cool because like I said, early 2000s that was not the case, and then you've been around. I'm sure you've seen it. You've been in the scene for quite some time.
Yeah, sure.
Um, it's weird
Yeah.
what kind of you know grew.
And it's not that there's not more obstacles. There's always more obstacles, just different ones now. You know?
Yeah, now you're fighting the algorithms on social media and
Right.
Spotify and things like that, right?
I'll tell you, we were talking about it earlier. Like, you kind of have to be your own, besides for being a musician, a songwriter, and performer, you kind of have to be your own lawyer, your own bouncer, your PR guy, all of this stuff. And as soon as you put something out, we talk about it all the time. If you post something on Instagram, instantly there's like five people that are like, promote this on whatever. It's like, okay, robot, you know.
Yeah.
But I got something today, like a little bit before we got on here, where somebody's like, hey fam, I really liked your new stuff or whatever. And I was like, oh, cool. And I don't know, there was like three exchanges, and then the next exchange was, where can I hear your music? I'm like, well, where did you hear it that you said you liked it?
Yeah.
I'm like, if this is your job, do a better job, man. I felt like Noel Gallagher of Oasis. I was
Yeah. It's gotta be
harassing this guy.
robots. It's gotta be
Yeah,
robots.
they're
I
all on there.
I just posted a video for the first time in on Facebook, anyways, for the first time in a long time. And dude, I don't know what happened, and I'm worried that I don't know if I got like hacked or whatever, but like the action on this, it's it's bizarre. And it's all scammers. It's all weird stuff like this Amanda Miller writes pretty. This Sharon Wilson. Wow, you're handsome, man. And this girl just writes a bunch of hearts. It's so bizarre. I don't know what to make of it.
Yeah.
Um, I'm kind of getting frustrated by it, to be honest. Um, but the it's so weird. It's like it has like 2.8 thousand views, 169 comments, and two of the comments are like legit people. It's old daggers.
Right.
It's old daggers and Typhoid Rosie.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. Yeah, it has 1.8 thousand like reactions to it too. It's like never happened before.
And who are these people, right?
They're nobody. They're robots. It's all lies. I
Yeah.
guess I'll take the interaction, but Jesus Christ, I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know how we got there, but uh, but yeah, like you said, we're constantly. You said that you're wearing many hats. You're not just performing songs. You're your own lawyer, your own PR, your own marketing team, your own design team, and that's common with every band now.
Yeah, I mean, like you really have to but it's, I forget what musician said it a long time ago, that there's very little music in the music business. It's more business, and the more you're in it, and I mean, like it's always been a hard battle, but man, it's just getting so hard now, and you really have to love it to do it. And I guess it's more and more evident as we, go on with this. Like you said, it used to be, God, I'm old enough where I remember that the charts and things mattered, and now it's like it's all likes, streams, and shares and stuff. So
Yeah,
you have to stay on top of that more than you normally would to find out what's going on.
and I feel like it takes away a bit.
Kind of, yeah, I
You know,
think it does.
like at least like from a personal standpoint, like it takes pieces of you. Not that it takes away from the music and things like that. Or maybe it does. I just feel like it takes away like time you could be spending being creative, or time you could be with your family, or whatever it might be. It's just like you're constantly connected to this freaking phone and wondering that you got to post all the time and just be interacting and all that kind of shit. And it's just like, man,
Yeah,
it's tough.
yeah. And the whole idea too now is like, I like making albums, and the new thing is basically like, just keep putting out a single every couple months.
Right.
And that's cool and all, but I don't know, there's something about the album that I still like. So
Yeah. Let's talk about that. Fourth album coming out. Do we have a release date for that?
I'm saying fall. We have to. It's all done being recorded. We have to mix it and master it and everything. But if I were to give a date, I would say probably like maybe October, early October.
Okay.
Possibly sooner. Depends on how quickly everything goes. But yeah, we got some pretty decent momentum coming now, so I want to kind of keep that going. So
And how many songs are we looking at?
I think 7.
Okay.
We're gonna put out.
Cool. And you just released a single
Yep.
from that upcoming album called
Yep.
Me and My Demons,
Yes, sir.
featuring Duds, of
Oh
course.
yes.
Duds, what's it like working with this guy?
Pretty incredible, honestly. I mean, what I do is, I don't even know how to describe it. I just kind of like add my flair to things or whatever. But going into sessions with Jay, he writes such great songs. It's like I don't really have to do anything. I just like it happens so naturally with him.
Thanks.
Yeah, of course.
And where did you guys record this at?
We've done everything at JL Studios in Oliphant. Actually, that we're in my buddy Mark Sinski's studio right now tonight to do this,
What's
but
that?
it's close by in
What's that
Oliphant.
called? I see place behind you.
It says My Happy
A
Place in
happy
Mooney
place.
Street.
Mooney Street. Okay.
Mooney Street Studios.
Very cool.
But yeah, we do everything at Joe Loftus's place, and he's been the bass player for us for everything we've done too.
Oh, cool.
So double duty for that fella.
He gets a lot of love on this show. I feel like everybody I talk to either works or has worked with Joe.
Yeah, I've yet to hear anybody say anything bad about him.
Well, I'm pretty if it was bad, he'd probably be out of business. So that's good.
Right. Truth.
And what's it like working with him?
Very easy. Everything that's kind of like the frustration I went through for so long with the band scenario. I remember the first session I went down there to do. I think we finished like one complete song in the first session, and I was like, wow, is it really this pain-free working by yourself kind of? And yeah, it's great. Like he steers me in, like he doesn't really tell you what to do so much, but he'll steer you either in the right direction or off the the bad path kind of if things are sounding weird or something. And I learned so much just as far as doing vocals and guitars and everything, and how things are put together from him, and Jay Preston as well. Don't want to shortchange him.
No, he's very hands-on with that stuff too. Yeah. They were just on S Dakota.
Yeah.
They were just on the show recently. But yeah, as far as your music goes, I mean, I don't want to say it's personal, but it's always like a lot of songs are about not even current events, but like for instance, like there's a song called "Trapped in Your Cell." Play on words, right?
Yep.
We talked about being so into our phones, and our phones kind of running our lives, and so it's a play on words, and that you're trapped in your cell, like you're in a prison, but it's the cell phone, right?
Yep.
You'll never beat the addiction, alone in the crowd, me and my demons. It's always very like, I don't know, is it I don't know, you tell me. I mean,
Well,
these things I'm talking about, like how does that come about?
It's just stuff I've been doing a lot of interviews and stuff, so I have it fresh to talk about.
Good.
The first album, with most albums like that, your first album, you have your whole life to make, and once you make your second album, it has to be like relatively quick after the first album. So the first album, I had a lot of songs already built up, and I think around the time of the second album, it was like, I want to write new ones and do all of these things. And it kind of became, like you said, definitely a more personal thing towards my songwriting. It's almost like a therapeutic thing where I'm writing about whatever I'm going through. It's like kind of like a snapshot in time, each album. And they sort of turn into, and I always loved concept albums where, it's like a big story. And I kind of look at the albums kind of like that ever since Duds kind of joined on, actually. And it's definitely progressively reached like bigger audiences and had bigger reactions and connections. And you know, it's kind of it's strange because maybe locally it's not so you know, people don't take to it as much, but man, the good thing about the internet and the streaming thing, where it's frustrating in so many other levels, is you reach people instantly, you know, like whereas it would take forever back in the day to do that.
Right.
And you know, you get feedback all over the place, and it's really cool, you know.
You kind of made a comment about, locally. What makes you think that you don't connect, or maybe not as much locally as you do on a?
Well, not as much. I mean, like maybe there's just something about, like, you know, you get somebody from a different country that like will say like, you know, this song really means a lot to me. And it's like, how, you know, how did you even find us, first of all, you know? So I'm not saying that the, you know, the local people and the people that have been supporting us are, you know, any less than anyone else. It's just it's a really cool thing to have that kind of, I don't know, reach, or you know, to touch people that you have no idea that you who they even are and stuff like that. You know, it's definitely a cool perk to the recording and everything like that.
I think that's the power of music too.
For sure.
You can. I mean, even the same song could, you know,
Mean a million things, right? To
yeah,
different
mean
people.
something different to me than it does to does, or whatever it might be. Like, and that's one thing I always loved about music. It's so subjective, and it's I remember there's times I've listened to songs for the first time, and I don't know if it was the mental state that I was in or what I was going through, that I heard the artist singing words that he wasn't singing. And I don't know if I just wanted to hear that at that time, or what it
Yeah.
was, but yeah, music is a powerful thing.
Um, it's funny too, because like, you know, you can't ever change how you made somebody feel. And I think a lot of the artists that we all come to, you know, enjoy and love. I see a lot of these artists that are getting older and stuff, and they say like, you know, um people come to our shows and they expect us to be like we were, you know, 10, 20, 30 years ago or something. And it's like, you know, we grow too, but you know, everybody wants to be trapped in that certain period of time where they made them feel like they did. And you know, that's I don't know if it's a downfall of the fan base sometimes, but you know,
Well,
people like what they like, you know.
yeah, I mean, I always say that it's like it's kind of shitty. It's shitty for fans, especially too, to like expect the same thing out of
Right.
artists,
Yeah.
the people who create, people who have a different brain than
Yeah.
people like I do, right? Like,
Yeah.
they just see things differently, they hear things differently. I mean, I have zero musical talent. I mean, I couldn't even begin to write a song. For me, I would have to like it literally have to be about something that has happened to me. I couldn't, be
Right.
a storyteller.
Yeah.
But what I'm getting at is like, for people to expect the same thing out of artists and not expect them to either grow or
Right.
um, experiment and things like that. That's shitty.
Well, you know, the other thing too is in the long and short of it, there's just no pleasing people.
Yeah,
Because
that too.
if you stay the exact way, then of course everyone's gonna go, oh geez, they just keep doing the same thing, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's a point, I think, where, you know, critics are important, but you can't live your life trying to please them, or you're just going to go nowhere. I mean, you might go somewhere, but you're going to feel so empty inside, and you have to do what you ultimately think is right for you. Like you said, to write, especially for me, like I get real envious of artists who could just write about happy stuff, or just like, you know, going to the beach and everything's all good and everything. When things are good like that, that's the last thing I want to do is write a song, you know what I
Right.
mean? So if I'm frustrated or down or angry or something, it's like, well, I'm gonna write a song now. So that's always usually how it comes out, you know.
I've had several conversations about that. Like I would never be able to write happy. Like, so
Like
what do you
really,
write about? Like, oh, like, do you brag about how good your life is? Like,
right.
what is it?
Like for me, it was always the band Van Halen. I grew up loving Van Halen, and I'm like, how are they writing these songs about being happy? It drives me crazy.
Yeah.
But you know, certain people have that ability, and I don't know, just
Yeah, it's a gift. It really is.
yeah.
Maybe drugs too. I don't know.
Oh, I'm sure. And money, of course, money
and
helps.
money. Yeah, they're doing shit that we'll never do. Like
You get drugs and money, man, you're gonna write some great songs.
yeah,
Or not.
I mean, I would say that there's probably a lot more great songs under the influence than there are not. Like great songs, like experimental, like just off the wall, like you know, those songs that go on for 11 minutes and shit like that.
Right. Yes.
But how do you think you've changed over the last few, like 20 years or so? Like, how have you grown?
The like I said, the first album was kind of like putting things together. Not that it wasn't personal, but I really kind of crafted the way I write into avoiding a writer's block, where I could write about anything that's going on around me and like kind of have a good topic. I love the double meanings and certain things like that in songwriting, and I don't always like to talk too much about what I write, because I like to keep it, for the listener to
That's
take
fair.
whatever they take. But certain things are just kind of obvious, But yeah, the personal side of things, I find you reach people more, and that's kind of like what I'm aiming to do anyways, and it's so hard. I always say, like, the two things I wanted to do when I was growing up was to make an album and to make a ton of money doing it. And you could do one of those things like without even leaving your house now, but making the money to, we have had some pretty recent success with the streams, where we hit 300,000 streams, and that's like crazy to me. But you would imagine that there's a sizable amount of money there, but not really. It's
No.
like, you might be able to pay for a couple of bills here and there, which is cool, but yeah, no such luck on buying a house and a Ferrari and all
Right.
that.
I did see that. And what song was that for?
Oh, that was just like the collective amount of streams, I think, together.
Oh, okay, cool.
300,000. But I mean, like, I remember when it was 100. Like, it's weird because you don't typically kind of like have to pay attention to that kind of thing. But now that it's like the way everything is put together, you go and look at your stats every now and again. I was like, oh my God, it's crazy. And yeah, you never know where it's going to end up. And whenever I feel really let down about how hard it is to make it, which it's basically impossible. That story about Kate Bush from Stranger Things.
Yeah.
That's like the most inspiring thing for an artist in our era now. It's like, how are you going to make it? I don't know, man. Maybe 20 years from when you put the song out, it's going to get snagged by somebody, and bam, like, you never know. She killed it.
Yeah, I have a motto I try to live by. I'm in the same boat. I mean, I haven't been writing music or doing a podcast for 20 years. But it's hard. You look at the numbers sometimes, it's discouraging. It's like,
True.
Why do I even bother? Like, it's like I do it because I love it, right? And I do it because from the day when I said I wanted to at least have a platform for artists to come on and talk about who they are, what they do, and why they do it. But it gets like you look at the numbers, it's like, man, like it's 100 views on YouTube, or 100 view or listens on Spotify, or whatever it might be. It's like, man, like this sucks. But I always say, like, it only takes one.
That's right.
And it could take one person that hears it, and maybe they find you and they listen to a song that you wrote, and that song, they have the ability to help you take that to the next level.
Yeah.
That for me would be amazing, right? Or if someone heard the podcast and said, hey, I love what you're doing, I want to invest some money into what you're doing, help you make it better, maybe get a studio or whatever it might be, let me help you do that. And I'll be like, holy shit, that's amazing. So
right.
But it's one of those things. It's like, how long do you say it only takes one for?
Right. Well, you did say the key thing, like, especially now, it's kind of easy to find somebody who really loves what they or it's in their blood, versus somebody that's just trying to be famous or make some money out of things. Because pretty quickly you learn that if you're in it for the long haul, you're not gonna the instant success and gratification, it's almost impossible. Like you said, it has to be like every star aligning at the same time. Me and DUDS played in New York City at a place called the Cutting Room. And I think it's the week before we played, after the SNL Saturday Night Live cast was done, they all went and hung out there. And I was like, man, maybe this will be our chance, you know? And it was cool though. Like there were some, you know, some people in the industry that were there that were very important. And you know, you never know who's, like you said, who's watching. It might just be one, you know? And yeah, that's cool. I mean, that's your other chance, the live shows and stuff, and getting out there and doing as much as you can, you know.
Yeah, talk about those. I mean, you've been at it for a long time, like we said already. Talk about some what people can expect from your shows, and some of the just the experience you've had, through the years, and
I'm
responses you've been given.
I'm playing shows, mainly like solo shows, acoustic shows, almost every week, about 2 to 3 a week. And I basically play anywhere I can, you know. At this time, I like to play. It kind of keeps me sane a little bit. And it's just kind of like you kind of read the audience, and sometimes they're easy to read, sometimes impossible and unpredictable. And you know, you don't want to, I never want to play anything I don't like, or you know, where I feel like I'm selling my soul to, you know, make some drunk guy happy or something like that. That's not what I do. But you gotta, another thing too about performing is you kind of have to learn to deal with the you know, the dead air and the heckling and certain things like that. And I always kind of tend to use humor and stuff like that to make it more fun and, you know, interactive, because, you know, the less dead air and people yelling Freebird and nonsense like that, it's like you kind of have more of a chance to win them over and do your thing. But yeah, and you know, it's cool. I like to do it.
I would fail at that too. Because
It's
I'm not very witty. So like my response would be like, "Shut the fuck up."
sometimes it comes to that. Yeah, you know, I feel like in all of the years I've been playing, boy, you could certainly tell some stories of crazy situations and scenarios. There was one time, I do have a really good one. Have you ever heard the song "Stuck in the Middle with You"? It was the film called Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
Had a scene where a guy gets his ear cut off while that song's playing, and you kind of have already like a weird vibe about the song because it's so peaceful and easy going, you know. I went to play in Lehighton, and it was a strange place. I can't remember the name of the place, but you walked in and there's like, you know, metal detectors. I'm like, oh, what are we walking into here? You
What are
know,
we doing here?
and it was two pool teams or dart teams against each other. I can't remember which, but they were super aggressive at each other, you know, and the tension was crazy high. And I'm like, you know, I'm gonna play Stuck in the Middle with You. I don't know why. I think it'd just be a fun thing to do. I play it, and there's a guy next to the other guy, like me and Duds, and he's holding a mug of beer, and this guy's saying "clowns" to the left of me or whatever. He's like, "You're calling me a fucking clown," and he hits him with the mug of beer
No way.
where the handle was left in his hand, and the
No.
rest of the mug was not. I have never in my life seen anything like it. And the bartender's like, "Hey, you gotta stop playing these violent songs, dude." I'm like, "Violent songs? Are you kidding me? These people are crazy."
Yeah, you just stop serving beer.
Oh my God. But yeah, that's like one of, I'll never forget that one. That's
That's
crazy
amazing.
stuff. I mean, the force it takes to smash a mug like that. Wow, it's just crazy. So yeah, I saw
That,
that happen.
I mean, did that person live? Like what?
Uh, I really can't comment on that. I just saw that that night was not so good.
Wow.
It was definitely not a good night for that man's head, for sure. Oh,
Jesus.
dear Lord.
Is that the
But
craziest thing you've seen over the years playing out?
um, I think so. Certain things were kind of this full of disgust. Like we played at a, you know, I won't say place names or anything, but
No, yeah, that's fine.
we played a bit out of the way. Me and my guitar player Jansen Harris at the time, and it was a very racial issue there, and I was like, wow, this is like weird, you know. Me and my guitar player, and we're playing, and earlier in the week I went up to hang flyers up for the show because we were a duo then, and this guy's like standing in front of us going, And he put his hand out, and I was like, "What's that?" He's like, "Here's $50. Your services aren't required for the rest of the night." And I was like, "Jesus, what's that all about?" And he said, "I saw your flyer, and there's 4 people in the band." I'm like, "I made the flyer. I'm an artist." And no, there's not. So we're like, "All right, whatever. This is just a weird vibe here the whole time." And we're going out, taking our stuff out, and we heard like through the window them saying like, "We got running these guys out of town or whatever," because of the skin color of my bandmate. And I couldn't believe it. And they really were like running us out of town like the KKK.
Wow.
It was crazy, crazy stuff. So yeah, that was not so fun. And that kind of thing still certainly exists, more than you think.
Yeah, it's a shame. It really is.
Yeah. But there's a lot of good times too,
Absolutely. I was gonna say if you could beat the guy getting smashed with a glass mug, I was like, yo, dude, like maybe you should stop playing. Call it a
Uh,
day. Let people live.
but through playing, I'd been given the opportunity to play with like a lot of the people I looked up to growing up, and it's both a good thing and a bad thing, because sometimes they say not to meet your heroes and stuff, and I've been on both sides of that, where some of them are so cool and some of them are such dicks.
Yeah, like who?
Well, when I was when I was in 2nd grade, it was a very pivotal time for me in music. Just I absorbed everything. Guns N' Roses came out, and they were the biggest band in the world when they came out. That
Hell
first
yeah.
album, I'll never believe it, or see anything like that explosion in my life. So in the back of my head, I measured everything against them, kind of, and I got the chance to open up for the drummer Steven Adler, and I'm like, this guy's way out of control. I'm actually going to turn this one down because I don't want to be let down. So I turned it down, and I like hated myself for turning it down, but I felt I did the right thing. And maybe a few months later, an opportunity came out where Duff McKagan. Do you want to open up for Duff McKagan? Fuck yes, I do, because he's totally level-headed and he's a super cool guy. At least I hoped. And yeah, sure enough, like got a chance to open up for Duff McKagan, nicest guy in the world, and so down to earth. You'd never know he was in like the biggest band in the world at one time. And that showed me so much. I was like, wow, this guy is just so cool. And that to me was probably my all-time favorite show, just for every reason that you could think of. Just playing with that guy was just crazy cool.
And that's nothing else. Like,
uh like on the downside of things, there's I also loved another band growing up, Wasp, the band Wasp.
okay.
They were the reason I started writing music, believe it or not. And they had this album that was just like deeply personal, and like they're known as a shock rock band, but like about 12 years after they started, they kind of did their deep dive into like personal stuff, which was cool. And I loved the album. It made me want to write music, and I held it so close, and get the chance to open up for them. And I'm like, oh man, here we go. I just want to tell the guy like, thank you so much for this album, And bad scene on that one. He like, you couldn't look him in the eye and all of these kind of things. I'm like, who's this guy think he is? Jesus Christ, like, come on, man. But the behavior was outrageously ridiculous. And
Yeah.
and then like he ended up canceling the show, and we headlined the show, like, because he did it like on a dime, and he was doing it all over the place. And I'm like, the behavior of this guy is just such a letdown. And yeah, that really sucked. I kind of wish that didn't happen, but um that was the case where you don't want to get too close to your heroes or idols or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's like part of rock and roll to a extent, right? Like you can't do that today. You like
no.
the minute like you even like look at someone the wrong way. Like imagine Taylor Swift if she looked at one of her fans the wrong way and it was caught on video, which probably would be
Oh, dead. Yeah, you'd be
destroyed,
dead.
right?
Yeah.
But back then you could kind of like, and not that I'm condoning that behavior, right? But like,
No, yeah.
I mean, back
There,
then there was like this like mystique about it, like, and no one was ever as accessible as they are today, right? So like, you never knew, like, you never
yeah,
knew.
that's it.
It's such a, I think a cool time to be
Yeah.
a
A
rock
lot of
star and
a
even
lot
like
of
a fan.
things yeah, a lot of things just got swept under the rug by whoever the managers were and stuff like that, which God love those people. They probably had a lot of work to do back in the day. But
Or not, or yeah, or not. Like
yeah,
there's still recordings of them, you know?
yeah, and yeah, you kind of, as time goes by, it seems like everything just comes up anyways.
Yeah, it's true.
But yeah, it's such a weird time, like you just gotta. The main thing I think about with recording music is, even if you don't get the success or whatever, you never know where it's gonna go. Like the Kate Bush phenomenon. It might be
Yeah.
20 years from now. But I feel like it would be stupid to stop or whatever, and it always discourages me so much because actually the way I met DUDS is I was hosting an open mic night for like, man, it had to be 11 or 12 years,
Right.
and the Irish Wolf down in Scranton.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
It started it was Judge and Jury, and it changed its name, but I I was reluctant to do it at first, because I was like, I'm doing my own thing, and I think it just took like one or two people that were like getting over their fright of being on stage, where I was like, this is kind of a cool thing, you're kind of giving an opportunity and a platform for these people that sometimes don't get it, and I loved it, and so many cool things have happened over the years, and I remember meeting DUDS, and I was like, wow, there's no way this guy is this good on guitar. And we talked after a show or something, and I said, would you be interested in playing on my album? And yeah, I have, he's been like the greatest collaborator you can imagine. It's really cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it does. I feel like, you kind of became known, and if you were a part of a band or anything prior to this, I apologize. I just, maybe I just wasn't around. But kind of E57 was the band you were in that, you were playing with a lot and all that kind of stuff. You've since left that band, what, 2, maybe 3 years ago now? I forget,
Yeah, something like that.
something like that. But I feel like you've really, you've become your own. You've become DUDS. Like everyone knows who DUDS is, and you've, worked with Maine the Medicine, and I feel like you've worked with Ty Soul and Amanda Rogan, and obviously Jay here. I know you've put out a few of your own albums. Um, talk a bit about what you've been up to, and just kind of how you've been DUDS.
I will try. I don't really know. I mean, yeah, E57 was my introduction to Scranton or whatever. I played guitar for, I don't even know, a few years before E57 formed, but that like got me into the Scranton area and meeting musicians up here, and E57 went on for, I want to say, like 6 years. And even when I was in E57, I was doing some solo shows and collaborations and stuff. But when I left the band during the pandemic, just because like the whole world changed, my world changed. So I just kind of shifted focus to bands are like so tough, and it's weird. I'm kind of in a bunch of bands now, but nothing like too strict. Like it's very free flowing. If this band needs me, if this band needs me, and studio sessions. If anyone ever says like, "Hey, can you come to the studio?" I'm there immediately. It's just, I don't know. Making music is just like what keeps me going, and like I take any chance I can to do it, and I'm very fortunate that seemingly so many people invite me to be a part of what they do.
That's cool.
Thank you. And I feel that I always lose track, like, not to say that like I work with an insane amount of people, but I kind of do.
But you do.
I do,
really do.
yeah. And I feel bad because I can never remember everybody, so I'm just not going to name anyone. But
Well,
if,
I always really find that fascinating. AJ Jump is still a drummer, but AJ Jump would be in a million bands.
mhm. It seems like
And
anytime I see a video of a band playing, he's the drummer.
right.
Honestly.
And you've kind of become that that guitar player for this area now too, like and beyond. But like, yeah, I mean, you're like this guy and MDG crew. You
Yeah.
you were with them for a couple shows, and
Mhm. Love those
yeah, I mean,
guys.
obviously you're you're talented and easy to work with, and that's why people are kind of gravitate towards you.
Thank you. Thank
Was there a picture of you without a beard?
you.
Well, you got to pay good money
There's
for
gotta be. I don't. It's been so long now, but there's got to be one somewhere.
Like that people have access to besides maybe family? Because
um, I don't encourage anyone to creep on my Facebook. If you go back far enough, there's got to be something.
on Facebook, oh boy, I feel
There you go.
like we have to go. We have to go on this ride here.
What have I done?
But I mean, I heard that EU57 is doing a reunion show. It was supposed to happen maybe a month or two ago. Some unfortunate things happened with a fire, I believe. But from my understanding, that has been rescheduled.
Yep, August 11th at the Keystone stage with Days in Transit and the Broke Pines, which is a new band consisting of Young Burgo, American Buffalo Ghost. They kind of merged in some form.
Is that Jeremy Burke?
Yep.
I gotta get him on the show.
Jeremy,
I think we talked
David
about.
Connors, Steve Werner, and Sean Flynn. And I apologize if I'm forgetting anyone. But
I told Jeremy that he needs to come on the show, and I don't know what happened with that communication.
Hmm.
I don't know if it broke down or what, but
yeah,
gotta get him on. I love that band.
yeah, he's amazing.
What brought the E57 reunion back or together? Like what's that all about?
I think it was just kind of, there was no closure because when I left the band, it was like the height of the pandemic. So like we hadn't played in a while. We didn't know if we were going to play in a while. And it was just kind of over. So Chris had hit me up at some point to see if I would be interested. And to be totally honest, I was like, yeah, not really, but let's do it. And we got things situated and jammed a few times leading up to the show. And by the time the show came, I was actually so stoked. Like, people seemed to be excited. I just wanted everyone to have a really good night. And I was really excited. And it was literally the day of the show, like the whole street caught on fire, basically. And it was a no-go.
But it's back on.
It was back on August 11th, the
August
Keystone
11th.
stage.
I've yet to go to that venue.
It's cool. I've played there
Yeah.
a few times. It's been a while, but it's nice to have an all age venue. I know we've lost so many over the years, unfortunately, and that one's kind of keeping it strong. So
Yeah. I wish I had the money to do that. I
mm,
really do. I would love to open a venue. But it's like one of those things, it's like you have to understand that you're not going to make money.
Right.
And you'll probably, and I wouldn't even be interested in making money. I mean, if I could break even, I would do it.
yeah, if it could
Yeah.
like fund itself and stuff.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, it's a tough scene.
Very tough.
and I feel like right before the pandemic hit, I feel like there was this rise of local original, music.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
feel like there was it was really on this upward trajectory, and like everything else, COVID fucked it all up.
I'll tell you, I don't know about you, but I know like right around that time we had CD release things planned. I'm in two other bands, and the band I'm in, Reach for the Sky, had I think it was our second album. We're like all stoked to get play our CD release, and yep, screwed, and it shut down so much. What I think me and DUDS were on what would be my third album at that point, and that's when the song "Trapped in Your Cell," like half of the album was recorded. So I was like, oh, could I put out a single at that time? And I think that was the best thing for our collaboration at the time, because I think it was when everyone was really listening the most, because there's like not a lot of other stuff to do. Everybody's at home. and it became like the most. I think it was the most streamed thing that we did. Almost like 70,000 or something like that. So you never know. I mean, that was probably the best thing that came out of the pandemic for me, or our situation, because like the playing live, everybody had to kind of do it in their basement or wherever they were playing, and it was cool. That was another thing where you kind of reached a way bigger audience, or people that like, you have friends that can't come out to a show because they have kids or jobs and stuff like that, and they were able to see what you're doing when they typically couldn't.
Yeah.
But the oddest part about that whole live recording and whatever was that, like, when you were done playing, there was like the audible reaction was none, so it's like, oh
None, yeah.
geez. Yeah, and like you can't always just kind of be staring at like who's listening or what they're saying, but that was kind of a weird thing. But I think that we got a lot more people through that, but by and large, it was a hard hit for a lot of us. It was the one time where I had like a whole year booked for gigs. I was like, man, I never ever am this responsible in my life, and shut right down.
Yeah, it was. I mean, everybody. I mean, I was in sales for the radio station. Like, I was projected to have my record year.
Yeah,
And yeah, what a disaster. And we're still feeling the effects of it, to this day.
yeah,
And I knew we would. I knew that when it was going on, like, it was not going to be, a
yeah.
2 week thing, and then it turned into a year and then 2 years, and the effects that it had on everything are just massive.
It's a strange thing for the musical, like the live portion of things, is how it seemed to me prior to that, the norm was, well, for me anyways, playing from 10 to 2. You had this gig
Yeah.
where it was always 10 to 2, and now it barely goes on past midnight, if that, and it's usually not 4 hours, it's 3, and it's like, that's kind of cool,
That's
because
sweet, right?
yeah, and you lose a lot of people, like, the people that you're playing for from 1 to 2, are they even there?
Even if they're there, they're not there.
Right, that's what I'm saying. What are they retaining? Nothing, probably, but yeah, I'm grateful for that, you try to look at the good parts of it, I guess,
Yeah, you have to. I mean, there's nothing we can do about it,
right,
unfortunately.
yeah.
I always thought that was cool too. There were cool, like, live events going on online. But I was wondering if people would, continue to kind of utilize that platform as a way to kind of connect with their audience, when they weren't playing shows out live. Have you uh found yourself doing that at all, or are you just more about, like, hey, I want to play out live and I want that experience only?
um it's weird, like, we're all trying to figure out, like you said earlier, like beating an algorithm or something, but I think we're all trying to just figure out how to they always tell you to, like, be mindful of content and kind of keep putting stuff out, but I don't particularly want to overkill on anything, so every now and then I'll make like a video to just kind of talk about what's going on, or recap certain things that are going on. And in the studio, I always try to, like, get a good clip here and there of what we're doing. But yeah, I think you don't often see people just going live and doing a set of music very often. At least I don't. Not like it used to be. Oh my god, it's just flooded with that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I don't know.
Duds, you kind of have quite a bit of clips every now and again.
Yeah, I don't go live too often, just because what I do, like guitar improv, isn't much of a show. Like, you could put it on in the background for like dinner or something like that. But I do try to post a video a couple times a week, just because, I don't know, like, this is what I do full time, so any exposure I can get is very helpful. And it's a weird thing with social media. It's like, it's easier than it's ever been to reach people, but you don't always reach people, whether it be the algorithm or just lack of interest or whatever, which is kind of like a struggle in itself, because sometimes I'll post a video that gets quite a bit of attention, and feel pretty good about that, not gonna lie. And then the next video you post gets absolutely no engagement, and you're like, oh shit, what did I do? Like,
Yeah.
why do you hate me?
Yeah.
And there's that kind of struggle. But at the end of the day, like, I don't know, if even if people aren't like liking and sharing and all that stuff, if even if I don't know someone is watching and enjoying, but they are, I don't know, there's some kind of like telepathy thing going on. I'm like, okay, it's worth it or whatever.
Yeah, I relate to that.
Yeah, it's it's so tough living on the internet. And we'll get back to that, I guess. Like, I just, what people are into. Like, and obviously we all think that like what we do is like very important, right? Like, why aren't you watching? Why aren't you subscribing? Why aren't you like? And
Damn it.
I find myself doing it, and I always say like, the hardest thing for me to do is self promotion. I'm not that kind of person. I always feel like everyone's on the internet trying to scream the loudest,
Yeah.
to say, look at me, and I'm not interested in that. It's easy for me to share, these videos and these podcasts because I feel like it's more, it's not like I feel it is more about, you guys and the guests. And it's easy for me to want to share that and promote that because it's somebody else essentially, right?
Yeah.
But it's just like the shit that gets attention is just like blows my mind. And I get it. I'm not like, I'm not Joe Rogan, right? But like I just came across um somebody's channel. It's someone that I know through somebody else. Um and the amount of views and the subscribers, like, and it's like people with money and they're at casinos and like
Mhm.
it's just obnoxious kind of like. I'm just like, how is this getting views? Like, there's zero content, really. There's no substance to it.
Yeah.
I would never watch that. Like, I watched it like for 30 seconds because I'm like, this exists and I don't know why. I don't know, man.
You know, I remember one particular thing that absolutely drove me insane. Just being a musician, and we're all trying our best. And I want to say it probably was American Idol. Was his name William Hung, I think was his name.
Yes, yes,
He was so bad that like he got a record deal.
yeah.
Like,
Because people tuned in to
oh my
watch.
God, what the hell is going on with the world? This guy was so bad, and there he is. Like, what did that record sound like? Like, it was such a frustrating thing. It's like, there it is, man. There it is. Talent means nothing now.
People had an idea for me. The casino has a bunch of shows on Thursdays. They're all tribute bands.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And they're like, yo, you should interview the tribute bands, but act like they're
The
really
real
like
thing.
the real thing. And
That's
I was like,
pretty-
that's funny, right? Like, but people would probably think that I'm like mentally challenged.
right.
But I'm like, but you know what? Maybe people would,
That
would
may
watch it, or like I'd probably get a bigger audience
that might be your
based
big
on that. I'm like,
break.
that's terrible. That's so terrible.
That is. I'll tell you, I play there every now and again. I'm actually playing there this weekend. And what a frustrating thing getting in and out of there as a musician to play.
Really? I
It's
wouldn't know.
brutal. Yeah. Very brutal getting in and out of there with your gear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't have like a back entrance to get into.
If there is one, I am still yet to find it.
How funny would it be if you're the only person who doesn't know about it?
Oh my God, I have asked everyone. So I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's a big joke on me.
I gotcha.
But yeah, that's a tough gig.
That'd be funny. I don't know how I feel about that place still. I don't want to talk shit on them because
Right,
obviously,
right.
but like that, and I knew it from the day one, man. Like, I mean, I was at the Weekender. You guys know that. That when that kind of came, it was 06, 07,
Mhm.
08. Like, and I mean, a lot of things happened in 08. Like the whole what do you call it? The whole World Cup was kind of like in a recession and shit like that. So like there were a lot of factors in, but like I know for a fact that that casino hurt local business, local
Sure.
bars, local venues who I mean, it's a hub, right? It's a
Mhm.
great place to meet people. You know, hey, I'll meet you at the center bar, and then you go to Breakers. Before that, you know, there was the Bar Louie.
Mhm.
It's no longer Bar Louie, it's something else now. But like
Hive.
you can meet there, and you can go do 10 different things in the same
Mhm.
venue,
Yep.
which is awesome. But
Yep.
I knew it pulled like, you know, the
It
10 people from this place and 20 people from this
yeah.
place.
It caters to the short attention span of the world. I
The
think that
world,
kind
yeah.
of a place. You know what I mean? Like I was talking earlier about an album where you know, I still believe in it very much. And most people, like, you know, they'll get through one or two songs and then they move on to it. That's a real frustrating thing for a musician when you sit with somebody who's not, and watching the way that they listen to music sometimes it's like, what the hell are you doing, man?
You
What are you
didn't finish
doing?
it. You didn't finish.
But that's the way people are. So
Yeah.
you know, I don't want to start hating on everybody, but that kind of
It's
place, I see it how it's like, you know, like when I'm playing there, you know, people be real into, you know, maybe 10 minutes and then, you know, they're gone to the next thing. And you might see them later on in the night and stuff. But yeah, I guess like you're real a really really good entertainer can keep somebody at one spot there the whole time, but man, it's not very easy.
well, there's that, and then, you know, there's no cover. We
Yeah.
can pop around to different places and see, you know, different bands playing, and there's no cover, and that probably ruined that whole concept too,
Yeah, very
to a
much.
degree. I also think the Harbor Bar kind of ruined that too.
Yes. Yeah,
Harbor Bar
real
came into town and did a whole no cover thing.
big demolition there on the scene.
Yeah, but it's hard to say, you know, what does what.
the
It's kind of
factors are the factors are many, I'm sure.
yeah. But let's talk about your fourth album real quick, and then we'll wrap things up.
Okay.
You know, you kept saying, you know, an album's important to you, and I honestly I love albums myself. I'm old school. I'm 40 years old, and I always loved going to the record store and buying CDs and listening from song 1 to song 12 or whatever it might have been.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, is that what you like about albums? Like, you know, the kind of, you know, do you record songs and order them from 1 through 7, like this next record is going to be, in a way that it should be listened in that sequence, or you know, talk about
When it
that.
when it's done, I think so. Yeah, I'm trying to like it's always like a jigsaw puzzle, you know, putting things together in both the actual songwriting and the you know, putting the package together at the end. Something I found that was pretty cool about this album in particular was we spoke about songwriting and certain things. This one was the one where I've been writing songs as close as I can to the studio time, versus like kind of like refining them and certain things like that. And I was going to call the album "Winging It" actually, um, just because it was like so not off the cuff, but like, you know, pretty, you know, loosely based on what's going on, and it turned out to be, I think, the best way to do things as far as what we've had going on now. And um, it was kind of inspired. What's so cool is it was more of a visual thing for me where I like old horror movies, and Vincent Price is like one of my favorite actors. And I saw this movie where he like looked on his shoulder and there was a devil, and then he looked on the other one and there was supposed to be an angel, but there was a devil there too. And I was like, oh my god, what a great idea that is, you know. And I was always, because I'm an artist, a graphic designer and a visual artist, I love these paintings that were done of magicians in the early like 1900s that had devils whispering in their ear. It'd be like, you know, come see this guy who does whatever, and the devil whispering in his ear. So that whole thing was like really the start of the me and my demons idea. So when it came time to do the like the photo shoot of it, I got in touch with the people at the Houdini Museum, and they let me use the straitjacket, and the photographer Eugene Lucas, great guy. He got so many cool shots. But yeah, we put it together and I was like, damn, this is a great idea. So that element is really cool with the album too. That's another thing. Like I was always used to looking at the album the whole time I
Hmm.
listened to it.
Yeah.
So now it's just that little thumbnail, which sucks, but yeah, you kind of adapt to the times or whatever. But that was very much the start of I guess the album's concept, like the demons that we fight, and struggles, and it's a pretty fast-paced world, and it's deadlines, stress, insomnia, certain things like that, and it's dealing with all of that sort of thing, and it's kind of the basis of it, I guess.
Do we have a title for it?
Yes, Me and My Demons, that is
Oh,
the
that's the title. Okay,
So
cool.
the single is just the self-titled
Got it.
single.
Got it. Yeah, it's, I always say I wish I was a psychologist, because I would just go on social media and like
Yeah.
mental illness, mental illness, mental illness, like
Right.
just call them or target ads towards them, and it's the world's crazy, man. There's a lot to navigate through. I think you do a really good job with a lot of your songs that, just they're relatable. It's about things that everyday people are going through. It's just like
I
it's
think
an outlet.
when you get too specific on certain things, it's like like if how can I say it? If you're using like really big words and real complicated talk, it might impress certain people, but you want to reach the most people you can. And um we're sometimes you're fighting that, like, oh, I want to make this sound a certain way. You also want to keep in your head, like, I'm not out to impress the critics or this certain group of people or whatever, but I do want it to be relatable. So that's something that I always keep in my mind, like kind of keep it more general and open, where it means something, versus like people having to look up a word.
Yeah.
So that's an important thing too,
Yeah,
dumb it down a little bit,
for sure.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know I said we'd let you go after we talked about the upcoming album, but you also, which I think is really neat, do a lot of videos for your music.
Mhm.
I think is cool. Like, is that just again part of your upbringing, and you always said you wanted to make an album and be rich. Like, was the video part of it? Like, you make a single, you write a single, you record a single, like you have a video to accompany that. Like, was that just part of like what you wanted to do, or is there more to it than that?
I would love to make more videos, but it's the people I work with they're just very busy. So what was really funny was I'm always kind of on their schedule, so the last music video I did was You'll Never Beat the Addiction. And I think it was last year on the 4th of July, the producers said, "Hey, are you doing anything today?" And I'm like, I don't know, why. You want to do a video? Yes, I do. So I'm always like at their call, because I'm thinking if I don't say yes now, I'm never gonna edit.
Right.
It might take another year. So yeah, we spent the day just like going through abandoned places and shooting the video, and it turned out really cool. So I do love doing it. Like, between being in the studio and making videos, I think that's the most freeing part of being an artist, at least for me, because you know with the live shows it's cool too, but like you stand the chance that somebody might ruin your night just being a jerk or something, which you kind of learn to diffuse that a lot too the more you play.
Right.
But there's zero chance when you're making a video or in the studio. I mean, like, wow, if the producer turned and punched you in the mouth or something, that'd be something else. But yeah, that doesn't typically happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love doing it. I just wish I could do it more. And
Right.
and money is also a thing too. None of us are getting extremely wealthy doing what we're doing. We're just doing it because we love it.
Yeah. I feel you. I feel you. Well, I think is this shit. Hold on.
Oh wow.
Whoa!
Is
Tap
that
out
is that a
here.
Oh my
beardless?
God!
Is that a
We
beardless? Well, kind of beardless. There's a
Son
I was trying.
Damn, that should have been the album cover right there.
yeah.
Jeez,
Yeah,
that's the look I was going for with that one.
this ring light.
Son of a bee.
Anyone watching, you'll have to go to the YouTube or Facebook page to see the video. Oh, I think I went deep enough here.
Oh no.
God damn, this light.
Wow.
This, duds
That
and
looks like when you
fog.
were when you were on death row.
Yeah. Checking
Yeah.
out my last meal.
Yeah, let's. Man, I think that might be it.
Huh.
That are worth showing.
Very nice.
Well, I think this has been successful. Learned a lot about Jay Luke. Touched a little bit about on duds, and we've seen duds without facial hair. And this might be. Is this you?
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Wow. It's like weird for me because I haven't seen that in like 20 years.
Man,
That's a trip.
I'd say this was a very great success. Whoa, this is duds with a guitar. Wow, this is crazy.
Wow.
Oh my God! Look at this.
Again, anyone
That's a
just
sweet
listening,
guitar.
Thank
you
you.
need to go
Shout out
to
to Avenged Sevenfold.
go to the YouTube channel or Facebook to see the video. But guys, thank you. I mean,
Thank you, Popko.
obviously, Jay, I've known of you. I've played your music when I had a radio show back in the day. It seems like it's only
Yeah.
been it's come up on 3 years. I've been off the air.
Crazy, man.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but
Yeah.
is what it is. But I've known Duds, so it's been a good opportunity to kind of learn more about you. For anyone listening or watching, how can they find out more about you online?
Instead of like giving out addresses, I think just like J Luke Music, you could find that in a general search, take you pretty much anywhere. And whatever your favorite streaming platform is, it's all there. You can find I think every album. So J
Very
Luke.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be
We might
looking
start
forward.
calling it the J Luke Band though, or whatever, because I feel like it's kind of weird now because it turned into something.
I don't know. Like that sounds like you should. I don't know if you. The J Luke band sounds like you should be wearing some kind of
Yeah, it does sound a bit
big
ridiculous.
hat and like a duster or something. I don't know. I don't
We
know.
might still do that. We might turn into but
Well, we'll look forward to your album coming out in the
Yeah.
fall-ish area. So
yeah,
best of luck with that.
thanks, man.
Upcoming shows can be found on your website as well, or your online.
Yep, all the time.
Sweet, awesome. Well, guys, thank you again, and looking forward to that new album.
All right, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
We'll see you.
See ya.